got members of the board and others on, so we can start the Board of Health meeting for the 7th of March, 2023. First things on the list, actually, I guess we can, is there anybody, so I see Bill, we have a guest, is that for a specific topic that you're on for, or?
Well, yes, but I'll wait till you come to it.
Okay. That's a short agenda, so I know it's one of the two, right?
Familiar face.
Well, more the zoning.
Gotcha. Very good. Then we will start off with our first on the agenda is approval of minutes from February 7th. We had a chance to look at it. If there are any comments, edits, or changes.
So I had a couple of comments. The under motion for the planning board request for Warwick Road, in the it says on the top that the board last saw this project at the January 10th, 2023 meeting, and then under the motion it said reiterate previous comments from the October 18, 2022. Did we look at this at the October 18, 2022 meeting? I'm confused. Which meeting did we go over this plan?
I believe we saw it a couple of times, and the initial one was on the October 2022. We made our comments. I think this last one we saw in January was our additional comments around it about the sidewalks. The sidewalks and the street lights. So I think that was when we unanimously approved at that point. I don't think there was anything on this. I think there was the only thing about the abutters. I think that was the only thing we had in the utility location, the storm drain or stormwater utilities.
Because I wasn't here at the January 10th meeting, so I wasn't sure.
I think we saw it definitely on that October meeting, and then we saw it again on January 10th. So I think what it was is our comments that that you guys said in October just still stood. That you guys repeated those, and that the comments that you guys said in October were the reiterated in January.
Okay.
And no additional comments were added to it.
Okay. Okay. And okay, and just like some spelling and under the same not the motion, like this third line from the planning board request for comment for Warwick Road, the fourth line, it says street light, one word. Isn't it two words? No, not necessarily.
Whatever spell checks tells me that's the way I follow.
Yeah, I think I've seen it both ways.
Okay.
Okay.
Was there any other comments on that one?
And no, and also under the planning board request for comment for Bruin Court, the second line, right? It said okay, so if we read it says the definitive subdivision plan to allow for the subdivision of one lot. Oh, the subdivision of one lot into two separate. Never mind. No, this is correct. Okay. Okay, so this is good.
Google says streetlight is one word.
Okay.
Well, then they've got to be right. Great. And let's see here. That was all we had on that meeting. Okay. Any other comments? Then we'll entertain a motion regarding the minutes.
I'll make a motion in regards to the February 7th, 2023. The Board of Health approves the minutes as written.
I'll second.
Great. Motion been made and seconded. Any other comments? Then we will vote on the acceptance of the minutes. Do Mona?
Aye.
Rachel?
Aye.
And Stefan?
Aye.
I also. So the minutes are accepted as written 4-0-0. next on our list, right on time, 7:05, 2 planning board requests for comments. First one is Renmar Ave and West Street site plan approval and special permits. And this I think we've seen before also.
Yep, so this is a revised site plan approval. So it had been approved back in 2019, but they have since made some changes. So it's the construction of 100 single-family condominium homes, as well as a clubhouse and a property maintenance facility. So the board did see this November 19th, 2019. They commented they're opposed to the construction within the wetlands, as well as emphasizing the impact of health concerns regarding mosquitoes, as well as asking that the sidewalks are constructed on both sides of the street. So the modified site plan includes the relocation of some of the homes that were adjacent to the Forest Road neighborhood, some relocation of some stormwater utilities, some modifications to the visitor parking, so they just made them more throughout the site, and then relocation of the community clubhouse closer to the entrance of the site.
But the whole project is still within the 100-foot buffer zone, Megan?
It is, yeah. I think I highlighted it here. We might not see it on this first page, but definitely on the second page. So this is the some of the homes. You can see they're all labeled here. So in pink here, I have the sidewalks labeled, and then in yellow all throughout are the street lights. So here's the first section of the development.
Oh, that's huge.
And here's some more homes. So you can see here, Mona, in green is the wetlands border. And then I did the 100 in blue here. And then same thing on this page, of course, the pink are the sidewalks, yellow are the streetlights. And then here's the last page of the development, and then the same colors on this page as well.
So in 2019, we opposed this plan, right?
So I think, let me go back up so I can get the right wording for the vote. So it was opposed for construction in the wetlands, and then the asking of the relocation of the homes, or sorry, the sidewalks on both sides.
Mhm.
Hi, can I ask a quick question? This is Jeff Rosenstein.
Absolutely.
So is this going to link into the town sewer, the town sewage?
Yeah, this will be on town sewer.
Cool. Okay, good. Thank you.
As well as town water.
Town water?
As well. Yes.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I know in the past we large construction projects like this, we've asked for assessment for the impact this would have on the wetlands and identify the wetlands, really classify them correctly, and then proposals for any kind of techniques or control mechanisms, something that we can help to protect and limit the impact. Again, we are pretty clear that we're opposing any of the building in these wetlands. I think we have done in the past. I remember seeing one or two that we've asked to have an outside firm or outside specialist to go through and really delineate where the wetlands are and how that could impact the health of the folks who are going to be living there. It seems like that's kind of a vulnerable population it's going to be in this area, and we're inviting quite a bit of impact from our vector-borne illnesses. I know it's been a while since we talked about it. Is there any specific questions anybody has, or any thoughts of motions adding to, changing, anything like that?
I mean, Rich, I think you make a good point. I don't think I've been on the board when that recommendation was made, but I definitely would support that. This is a pretty sizable construction.
The good portion of it in those impacted areas.
I don't know, Melissa, if there's like, are there any limits to us asking for that? Is that something that, do we have certain criteria when we ask a developer to do that?
No, I think in the past, Rich, correct me if I'm wrong, there was something to do. Remember, we were talking about other mosquito mitigation and the bats were talked about. I want to say that this was potentially, it was this property. Obviously now it's a different use for it, but I don't think that's wrong to ask for further information to protect those, you know, in the future.
Sure. Because I know we've got our listings of where the wetlands are, but maybe an assessment could really help clarify and maybe uncover things that could cause, an issue. Now, is this over a water source too?
Yeah, so water resource protection overlay district. So that's one of the special permits they're asking for.
It's even probably more reason for us to be concerned about how this could impact.
Sure,
Melissa, I think you're right. I think this is the one that we were asking for them to come up with some mitigating resources. And I mean, as far as I know, they never did. Now they're coming back. This is a different plan that we're looking at, but I don't think that it's unreasonable for us to ask that, because I remember talking about the bats too, which can be a helpful resource, but then we're looking at other issues that bats bring to that community. So
Sure.
we were asking.
I think you're right, Rachel. I think the person came forward and said that the bat method was ineffective overall.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And they had like a research, like a paper on it or something. They gave us some sort of resource. They handed out something, but
Sure.
I mean, I think that we just go back to what we said back in 2019, just because they've changed the plan or the purpose of the use of the land. It doesn't change the fact that the land is, number one, over a water source, and number two, you know, in the wetlands with a vulnerable population.
I agree, Rachel.
It seems reasonable. Does anyone want to make a motion?
Quick question before we do. I noticed you said modified plan includes the relocation of some of the homes adjacent to the Forest Road neighborhood. Any more information on that?
Yeah, so I think that they relocated them into like a different cul-de-sac, basically to help the view of the homes. I think they were looking out onto the power easement. So it was really a view problem. They didn't want the homeowners to be looking out onto that easement. So that was the
in the construction, not the existing homes on Forest Road right now.
Oh yeah, no, sorry. The homes that were going to be adjacent to Forest Road within the construction, those have been relocated throughout the site to better the homeowner's view.
Gotcha. Okay.
But no efforts were made to move anything out of the wetlands as we had asked.
Yeah.
No.
I'm on board with Rich's recommendation. I think we should do it.
I am too.
Maybe Rich, since you seem to be more familiar with it, if you want to make the motion.
I would, but I actually, unfortunately, I have to abstain from voting on this one action, this one event. So I would pass the baton to others if there's anything that they would like to see.
Alrighty.
I'll make a motion that the Board of Health is opposed to the construction of, to any construction within the bordering vegetative wetland areas, and due to the fact that it's going to be a vulnerable population who will be residing in that development, the Board of Health is requesting an assessment of the impact of exposure. How do you want to put that, Rich?
Yeah, just the risk associated with a vulnerable population.
Okay.
And mitigating factors that could be taken into account to
Sure.
fix it.
Whatever could be done and any recommendations and
Recommendations.
assessments.
Yeah.
I'll second that.
All right, the motion has been made and seconded. Any other comments, additions, or modifications? Then we will vote. Start with Mona,
Aye.
Stefan,
Aye.
Rachel,
Aye.
and I, as I mentioned, will have to abstain from the vote, but still passes 3-0 and 1. Thank you guys. Appreciate that. All right.
Forgive me, can I ask why you're abstaining?
There's personal reasons why.
Fair enough. Thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Appreciate it. No worries at all. The last we have on our agenda is the Springtown meeting zoning articles. And do we have someone on? So Bill, were you on for this for any comments or just to listen in?
Can you hear me?
We can.
Oh, okay, it says mute, but no, I'll just listen, and if I have a comment, I'll raise my hand.
Absolutely.
Sure. So this is, let me go to the first page. So this is from Planning Board, and they're looking for comments in regards to some changes to the zoning articles that will be at Springtown meeting. So Article 22 goes to accessory in-law suites. So there was some changes to requirements, like it can't be utilized as a renting unit, and some other changes in language and such. But the main change with this is that if they meet these requirements, then they don't have to seek a special permit through the Zoning Board of Appeals. Then our section 14, or sorry, Article 23. This is just removing the section in entirety. It goes to subdivision planning. And then Article 24, this is just changes the days that they have to make an appeal to any site plan decisions from 30 to 20. Article 25 is setbacks. So you can see the required setbacks here. And then anything that's crossed out and underlined is a change. Article 26 relates to parking. So again, anything that's crossed out and underlined is a change. So it really, goes from 3 to 4 motor vehicles, changes like that. Article 27 and Article 28, this just says that they don't have to go, it's if you're a general residence zoning, if you're connecting up to public sewer, you don't have to apply through a special permit. Article 29, this is also parking regulations. So again, use 2 parking spaces, things like just general language changes and number changes as well. And then Article 30 is changes what you're required for a special permit for excavation. So it goes from 100 cubic yards of excavation to then it ups it to 200, that if you go above the 200, you would need a special permit. And that's reflected down here as well. Are there any questions on those?
Yes, I have a question on 14. 14 removes what?
Sorry, I think I went past it.
Is that right after Article 24?
After, oh, sorry. Thank you, Mona. All right, I've gone too far up now. You said 14? Oh, Article 8, which Article 14 is, or Section 14? Is
Section 14.
Section 14. So this is the accessory to in-law suites. So the only change here is that they add, in the definition, is a kitchen or a kitchenette is added into the definition of an in-law suite, as well, labeling that it's a separate dwelling unit.
Well, I thought that 14 removed something from zoning.
Oh, sorry, Article 23 down here, is that what it says? To see that the town will vote to amend the zoning bylaws, subdivision phasing by removing this section in its entirety.
Yeah, I oppose
one?
that.
Why is that, Bill?
I've been told, I haven't had the opportunity to read it myself, but it's when you have 100 homes to build, you have to build 10 a year. I thought that's what they're talking about removing.
What?
So I would have to be honest, I don't know specifically what the ins and outs of that article are that they would be removing. I would definitely be able to follow up on with our zoning board here and be able to better answer that. But as of right now, I couldn't really answer exactly the entirety of what that article entails.
Well, I would oppose anything that limits the restrictions on building, because we do have water problems, and if we build out too fast, we'll run out of water. So limiting it is something that we have to do until we find another water source, a reservoir that we can draw water from, or an agreement with the MWRA. I'm not in favor of the MWRA buying water from them. It's too expensive, but we could go with a reservoir. I would be happy with that. And we do have a site that the MWRA picked out for a sludge dump, and it's in the Charles River watershed, and you can't have a sludge dump in the Charles River watershed unless it has a sewer hookup. And our sewer in the Ponset River watershed can't be hooked up to a sludge site in the Charles River watershed. So they can't use it, and so it could be a perfect reservoir for us.
Now, is this article something that says petition of the planning board, or they're the ones who are leading that?
You know, I was told it was a private party that was removing this. So maybe this isn't in front of you right now tonight.
Yeah, I think our action is for comments on the zoning articles, which I think really would refer to anything that had a Board of Health direct contact or direct impact on. Which I'm not sure if that one really has a Board of Health directly, the water supply.
If we build out our resources too quickly, then we're going to have a water problem.
Bill,
And-
so
and-
this Article 23, you might be getting it confused because this is a petition of the planning board. It's not a citizen's petition.
Yeah, I was told it was a citizen's petition. And maybe they thought that you were looking at all the zoning articles tonight. So there's a zoning article that's come before the town meeting, but you don't have it in front of you tonight?
No, this is what has been presented with us, this 12-page document that we just went through. This is all that's been presented to us to comment on.
Okay. Then someone misled me a little.
Were there
But
any?
I would hope that the Board of Health would oppose any changes to the zoning that would increase the ability to overproduce residences to draw water from our water supply. If the restraints that we have should be kept in place.
That would make sense. Don't see this is Article 23. Is that referring to the in-law portion above? Or I'm not exactly sure how that.
Yeah, no, I'm sure that wouldn't be the article. The
Yeah.
article would go to subdivision approval or something along that line. I wouldn't
Okay.
expect it to be something that was put forward by the planning board, but by an outside party. But the planning board may refer it to you anyway.
Okay. Well, it's definitely something we'd keep an eye on if something like that was to come up where it possibly could impact our water source. That would certainly have a health department impact, that's for sure.
I mean, wouldn't that be, I mean, I understand Bill's concern. It's a valid concern, but isn't that a water and sewer department issue? When we approve like big developments with 100 houses or more, and they say it's connected to the town water and sewer, so we assume that, that the approval, I mean, it's not a board of health, like it's beyond our authority to deny or oppose, the construction just because we are concerned about shortage in water. I mean, it's the town's water department that would, be involved in this issue. I would assume, like it's their decision whether or not the town can afford, hooking, 100 new houses, for example, to the town water, or having them like just go and, why would the town be responsible? I mean, what I'm trying to say is that if the town cannot afford having a big development to be on their town water, then they should just like, if they're going to approve the project, to say you have to have your own water resources.
Well, what I learned when I talked to the HAC is the HAC told me that they would not have allowed the preserve to be built had the town told them it was being built on a zone 2. And no one from the town told them. Now, I guess you would assume that the sewer and water would be the party responsible for telling the HAC. But what I found out was the HAC, the person to report that to them was the building inspector. He's responsible for reporting anything that's happening to the zone 2 to the HAC or the DEP. Now, I did find out from the DEP that they had misplaced the Walpole's Water Resource Protection Overlay District at their Lakeville office, and when they moved to Boston, they didn't bring it. So they didn't have a lookup to see that the preserve was being built on our future water supply well field. So now we've lost the future well field. The preserve was built on a beautiful zone, area 2, zone 2, that was 55 feet or greater in depth, would have made a wonderful well field, and now it's lost. So we need now, the only thing we can do now is to try to get a reservoir in Walpole or somewhere else, like up in Franklin, with a gravity water feed down to Norfolk, Plainville, Rentham, and Walpole. But I'm glad that you people are keeping an eye on this. And it's not your authority to complain or present something to the HAC. In that case, it was the building inspector. But I'm sure that it's of concern to the Board of Health. If we run out of water, my understanding is that the commercial outfits in town will not be allowed to get water from Walpole. If we get to a point where we're really restricted, only residents will get the water, and commercial outfits will have to buy their water privately. And that's a concern for the commercial industry. Thank you.
Interesting.
I agree.
I appreciate your comments.
My
Your
God.
passion for protecting. Great. Any other comments or discussions about the articles? Our comments are just that we reviewed and recognized that they were being presented, or do we have to comment on each one, or what would be the approach for the articles?
No, you could definitely do a more general vote on that one. And then if you did have any specific concerns, you could break it down into an article, but if there's no concerns, then you could make one motion.
Okay. Anybody want to make a motion? If not, then I can make a motion regarding the zoning articles the Board of Health has reviewed the articles and has no immediate comments, but we'll keep a diligent eye out for any article that would possibly impact our water source, as it is a valuable resource for us, and we want to keep the water where it should be going and make sure we don't overdraw from that source.
I'll second that.
Great. Motion been made and seconded. Any other comments? Then we will take a vote. Go Stefan,
Aye.
Rachel,
Aye.
and Mona.
Aye.
I also. So we'll vote the motion will pass 4-0-0. Thank you for everybody's comments and discussion. It was an important topic. Anything else we had on the agenda or anything we need to talk about tonight?
So just quickly, I looked back in my notes for the Renmar Ave because I wanted to kind of get a better understanding as to where we left it with Renmar Ave, because the bats did spike more. I was like, we definitely had this conversation. So I looked back in the meeting minutes from 2019, and it does look that the applicant did reach out to Norfolk County Mosquito Control, Dave Lawson, the director at the time, and that was when he kind of said that the bats were an ineffective process and it wasn't necessary. But at the time, the applicant did agree to meeting with a designated person from Norfolk County Mosquito Control 2 times every spring to perform mosquito mitigation treatments, as well as on-site wet basin and the remainder of the property rather. And then they were going to agree to annual gutter cleanings in the early spring months. They were going to also do installations of and maintenance of active fountains and any stagnant water found. And then they were going to do those biological tablets, the briquettes. So I don't think it's unreasonable to just request that this is still taking place, because obviously that was 3.5 years ago now. But I just wanted you to all know where we were at last with the applicant.
Very good. Do we need to make an amendment on that comment, or do you think that clarifies all that was discussed in 2019?
I think the motion you made was good, and it's just mainly to get an updated process for what they'll be doing regarding mosquito mitigation. And if it aligns with what they have now, then that's perfect. Or what they submitted in the past, then that's perfect.
Good. Great. Well, thank you. That's helpful. Yeah, I do remember those discussions, and we got a little creative on those. So great. And then if we had nothing else, then I will vote to adjourn.
Rich, real quick.
Oh yeah, please.
We did talk about the timing in our the last meeting we didn't hold, but 7:00 is actually pretty tough for me to make. And I was wondering if it'd be possible for others on the board to make maybe a 7:30 again.
I agree.
I don't have a problem with that.
Anyone else? Rich, Rachel.
No. Rachel, you okay with that? Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that
You have to
should be
make
fine.
a motion though for that, right, Melissa?
No, I don't think we need a motion. We'll make sure that when we post and next meeting, I don't know if it's okay with the board, we have it as an in-person meeting, and that's the 21st of March. And again, we'll be in the FinCom room like last time. So we'll just make sure that the agenda reflects a 7:30 start time.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. I did have one topic just real quick about I think it's just, I know there's new regulations in Massachusetts about mattress disposals, and I've had a lot of people come to me and express their frustrations. I don't know, Melissa, have you had anyone contact you guys about?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I was gonna say Jen can probably speak the most about this because she gets all the calls.
I did it myself.
So
but it's pretty
so
frustrating.
unfortunately it became a ban November 1st through the state. Mass DEP regulated it. So unfortunately it's one of those things where it went into place, but the infrastructure wasn't there. So ultimately people are at the mercy of the haulers to take it away. But we actually, on a positive note, were just made aware of a new facility right in Foxborough. And it is Eco Plus, and they actually take mattresses for $35, which is actually on the cheaper side. Our hauler now takes it for $75 for the first item and $50 for the second item. The problem is they're getting dinged when they bring it to the proper facility because there's just not much infrastructure in in the state right now. So there's actually places in Rhode Island. So ultimately, if a hauler is just coming to pick up one mattress, I mean, they have to obviously factor in the cost there. So the hope is that eventually there'll be enough infrastructure locally that the cost would obviously go down. But Eco Plus, they take other items as well. If you're interested, we do have I can send it to you directly, but all of the resources are on our town website. If you go under the solid waste, under department solid waste and recycling, there's the left-hand column has mattress disposal resources. So we do encourage, obviously, if people purchase a mattress through a big box store, have them take it away. I know that's not the case now. A lot of people purchase their mattresses on Amazon. They get like the bed in a box type of a deal. So you do have to find the means to properly dispose of it. New Life Home Furnishing, if anyone's aware, they're right in the center of town. They will take lightly used mattresses. So again, you have to think that someone else is going to be using this mattress. So if you're getting rid of it because it's in disrepair, they wouldn't want it. But again, if it's, an extra bedroom that you have in your home and it's a lightly used mattress, they'll definitely take that in. And then we do a few other resources as well on the list.
I went through it myself, getting our baby's room put together, and we had to get rid of a mattress, and it was just the most frustrating process. And I think from a Board of Health perspective, my biggest concern is that the harder we make it for people to get rid of something like that, the more likely that they're going to throw it in the woods or put it somewhere we really don't want them to have it. So I just think more education amongst the community would be definitely helpful. I can't tell you the number of people that have reached out to me between that and getting rid of, I know there's construction debris and stuff like that. There's just a hard stop right now on a lot of the stuff that's going into the landfills. And I get it. I think it's a notable thing to do. But like I said, the harder we make it for people, the more likely they'll just end up somewhere else we don't want it.
Yeah, it's so true. And it's tough because I get as well to take it out of the landfill, but it's hard to do that when there's not infrastructure in place first. So definitely we provide a resource guide on our website, and we have handouts outside of the health department because there's a lot of items that don't fall under the trash contract, or potentially maybe there's a better suit for disposal. So we do promote a lot of those, even like the electronic drop-off sites, things like that, maybe have a better home in the end versus an incinerator or a landfill. All of our trash goes to an incinerator though.
I mean, even once we get to that point, I don't know if there's other trash haulers that have different types of services too. Maybe something to consider for the future.
So unfortunately, that's a ban. So it's not like Walpole, like no hauler can take a mattress. They have to bring it to a specific facility that accepts mattresses. So Walpole was a rarity because most cities and towns don't accept mattresses in general, or if they do, you have to pay a fee, where Walpole, that was included in the one large item a week. So I think a lot of people got spoiled with that. And then obviously it wasn't like, we're starting to segue out. It was like a hard stop November 1st, but it's all over the state. But the Eco Plus is at least a reasonable price. I mean, $35 is definitely, it's right in Foxborough. But again, I would definitely encourage people, if they're getting it from like a big box store, to have them haul it away for them. Yeah.
Thank you.
Very good.
Could I make a comment?
Please.
I just wanted to point out that Walpole cannot pump enough water today to meet its demands at some points in time. So what they've done is they've built water towers, many large water towers. In fact, in South Walpole, they had to build a second water tower when the preserve went online. So now there's another 40B coming to Summer Street, and I think they'll need a third water tower in South Walpole. But meeting your demand with water tower is a risky business. So I'm very happy to hear that the Board of Health is going to keep an eye on this situation. Thank you.
Thank you for
Bill,
bringing
appreciate it.
Bill. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. All right. Any further comments? Anything else that we want to?
Like in the package that I received from items that we were supposed to go over during the February 21st meeting, I don't know, I have like 3 items, 10 new fish.
So Mona, so those were anything that was potentially supposed to go on that meeting. If the boards needed to have comment prior to then, we would internally make comments. So the time period for comments would have closed prior to tonight's meeting. So that's why they didn't carry over. Only one carried over.
I hear you. I get it. Okay, thank you, Melissa.
All right, everybody, it is 7:40. I will vote to close the Board of Health meeting. You want to close, Mona?
I'll second that.
Perfect. And you're voting to close, Stefan
Aye.
and Rachel?
Aye.
And I also. So we will close the Board of Health meeting. Thank you all, and we will see you, we said, in person on the 21st, 7:30.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody.